Welcome back, everyone, to NFL Talking Points. I am your host, Joseph Gardner. Today, with us on this beautiful Wednesday evening, we've got Matthew Arscott of the Matthew Arscott Sports Show here to talk trades, power rankings, Thursday Night Football. It's going to be all in one today. But Matthew, how are you doing this evening?
Great day for me. It's always a good day when there's sports on. No football. Well, there's college football today, but no professional football today. Going to be catching the Jazz game delayed after this. So it's always a good day when there's sports, and it's always a good day when we're talking sports. I appreciate you having me on, as always.
Matthew, you and I started this podcast like 45 minutes after we expected to because I was late and then you were late and then I was late and you were late. Like we just went back and forth both.
Let's tell them real quick. We were trying to figure out a time earlier in the day. Normally I'd be able to just do it on like my allotted lunch break, but I had this interview today that was like essential that I had to do. So we had to push it to this evening. Then I said, instead of 6:45 Mountain, can you do 6 o'clock Mountain? Then at 6 o'clock Mountain, I was late. Then you were late to the new set. Then I was late to the late. And it's, you know what? We're here, right?
We're here. We're ready to go.
And your listeners, more importantly, are here. And
oh, yeah. Yep. And we're going to go over everything. We've got a lot to get to, so we'll just get right into it.
Love it.
First of all, trade deadline was yesterday, 4 p.m. Eastern. A ton of huge trades went down. I'm just going to read off all of the trades, at least the biggest ones, and we'll just talk about a few of them. Just lifts off the trades so that the listeners and the viewers know what happened yesterday.
Love it.
So, Miami Dolphins traded their linebacker Jalen Phillips to the Philadelphia Eagles for a third-round draft pick in 2026. The Cincinnati Bengals traded their linebacker Logan Wilson to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2026 seventh-round pick. It wasn't their seventh-round pick. It was a New York Giants seventh-round pick from a previous trade. Tennessee Titans trade Draymond Jones, the linebacker, to the Baltimore Ravens for a fifth-rounder in 2026. This is the conditional fifth-round pick from a New York Jets trade. Las Vegas trades Jacobi Myers, wide receiver, to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2026 fourth-round pick, a conditional pick, and a 2026 sixth-round pick. This one trade from the New York Jets. This is one of those trades that we're probably going to talk about later. Huge trade in this one. Next, we've got the defensive end, Joe Tyron, going to Chicago with a seventh-round 2026 draft pick in exchange for a sixth. So it's the defensive end and a seventh for a sixth defensive end going to Chicago. The Indianapolis Colts, Matthew's Indianapolis Colts, trade for Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. Ooh. 2 first-round picks, 2026 and 2027. And, what a loss, trading Adonai Mitchell to the Jets as well. So the Jets pick up 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver in exchange for Sauce Gardner. Carly Ursay going all in on this Colts team this year. Next, we've got Dallas. Dallas was in the weeds today. They traded for linebacker earlier. They've got another one. This is their bigger trade. They trade away Mozzie Smith, their defensive tackle, a second-round pick in 2026, and a first-round pick in 2027. Whichever one's higher, the Packers or the Cowboys, whichever pick is higher, that's the pick that they're going to trade. So 2 high first-round picks for Quinnen Williams, the nose tackle, second-round pick at a 2026, first-round pick 2027
that's
for
the
Quinnen Williams.
One. Yep.
And the first-round pick is the conditional. Quinnen Williams out of New York going to Dallas. Huge trade implications there. We'll talk about that.
Agree.
Next one, New Orleans is trading Rashid Shaheed. We kind of mentioned this on our previous podcast.
Didn't we kind of allude to a little bit like this could happen?
We absolutely did. We absolutely said it was you or Matt. One of you said you would expect Rashid Shaheed to be traded before Olave, and look at this. Here he is, the Weber State man.
Yeah, Weber State legend.
The Weber State man, Rashid Shaheed, the speedster, being traded to Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks give up a 4th and a 5th round pick. Yep. I remember I had said that I would give up, I think, a 5th at most for Rashid Shaheed, and the Seahawks traded the 5th and a 4th. So obviously, I undervalued Shaheed. So the Saints are also not done trading. They also trade their guard Trevor Penning to the Chargers, who need offensive line help with their injuries. They trade guard Trevor Penning to the Chargers for a 6th round pick in 2027.
Love that.
And
by the way.
lastly,
I love that trade for the Chargers. We'll talk about it.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll talk.
And then lastly, we've got kind of just something out in the back in the weeds. You've got Ja'Sir Taylor, the defensive back from the Chargers, going to the Jets for a 2028 7th round conditional pick. I mean, this is like 3 years conditional 7th for a backup DB in LA. We don't have to really focus too much on that one. Matthew, the biggest ones for me, I've got 4.
Okay.
And the first one has to be Sauce Gardner going to the Colts for 2 first-round picks. The question that I have actually, you know what? Why don't you just say what you have on it before I give my question?
Love it. Let me give you some initial reactions. As a Colts fan, there's a lot of love in this trade. I think that this is one of those trades that if you're not really too in-depth with football, you're like, oh, sweet. We gave up a couple of like future draft picks for a guy right now to go all in. And I wouldn't even call it all in. Just a really big boost to a defense that has shown some porous parts into it. But as a Colts fan, off the bat, off the surface, you're stoked. Then you dive a little bit and you're like, ooh, wait. Did we do a little too much? When we ripped the Band-Aid off, did we pull a little bit more skin than we wanted to? And then you dive a little bit deeper and you're like, yeah, but like, do you really care at the same time? My initial reaction, great trade. I love the fact that the Colts are trying to do something now. You had mentioned Carly Ursay. She's down on the sidelines. She's taking notes. She knows the value of not just players on her team, but opposing teams. She's right in the mix with Chris Ballard and the rest of the management group. This Colts team, I am more optimistic about this Colts team this year than I have been for a very long time. Not just do we have guys on offense getting it done in Taylor and in Jones, but we have people in the back office that make me know as a fan that if we fall this year, we're going to pick back up where we started and we're going to continue to push. That was this reaction as a Colts fan for this trade deadline. Sauce Gardner is an excellent addition to this backfield. There's no secret that the most coveted position this trade deadline across the entire league was not only that of defense, but that of the cornerback. And we talked about that on your show. And the Colts were one of those teams that really needed depth in the corner position, specifically with guys like Charvarius Ward from the Niners from last year with, being out on injury. This is awesome if you're a Colts fan. This is awesome if you're a Jets fan. I can go into initial reactions there. I think the Jets and the Jets GM even came out and said, Jets fans, we walked away with so much value from this trade deadline. We are looking so good. I think the Colts have a lot to celebrate. I think getting Adonai Mitchell off your roster too is no harm done. Now, ask your question because I have more to say about this, but I want to hear. I'm not just going to ramble.
Yeah, I'll say one thing and then ask this question. A lot of people were saying, well, now the Jets can go draft a player with that over one first pick, someone like Sauce Gardner that could change the defense. Well, guess what? If you draft another Sauce Gardner, he doesn't cost you tens of millions of dollars a year. If
That's
you
true.
draft another Sauce Gardner, you have 4 years, maybe 5 years if you get it with a first-round pick, where you're paying pennies on the dollar for a star player. If you draft like you did in 2022 when you got all of these pieces initially, you're just doing you're saving money, and
Sure.
it's more than just, oh well, now we can draft another Sauce Gardner maybe.
Yeah.
It's okay, but if you draft another Sauce Gardner, now you're saving hundreds of millions of dollars between Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. You're saving tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that you can spend on other players. Anyway,
Yes.
my question:
Okay.
which trade would you prefer? The Micah Parsons trade, 2 first-round picks in exchange for and Kenny Clark in exchange for Micah Parsons, or 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell in exchange for Sauce Gardner? Very similar trades.
Very.
I'm a Packers fan. You're a Colts fan. We both gave up our 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Neither of us have a first-round pick in the next 2 years. Which one would you have, though?
Let's enter the Zen room and let's have a little therapy session here over our lost first round picks as 2 fans to franchises. First of all, let me say one thing before we jump over to answer this question. I did see somebody online say, yes, let's go draft another Sauce Gardner. I saw another Jets fan say, well, guess what? Darren Mogi, Jets GM, is going to somehow figure out how to screw all this up anyway. He's going to go in and he's going to draft some bum, and it's not even going to be worth it at the end of the day. That being said, we're optimistic for you Jets fans. We hope that you can take as much value out of this as you can. Back to your question, and I love what you said. So much similarity. Both were trades for massive defensive players. Both involved first-round picks and an additional player. Both are going to teams that are trying to win now. Wouldn't it be ironic if we saw the Colts and the Packers in the Super Bowl? It would almost be like a pinnacle of I know. It'd be like, hey, both of these teams are figuring it out. They know what they're doing. That being said, and I'm not just saying this as a Colts fan, I actually wonder if you might disagree with me. I prefer the Parsons trade. I think that from an overall perspective, the Parsons trade was a little bit more fair in a sense that Dallas picked up Kenny Clark is no bum. Not like how I kind of look at Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, I should say I trash him a lot. He lost us a game against the Rams. He's had a struggle year. He's trying. But I think that Kenny Clark was a great pickup for the Dallas defense. Dallas's defense moving this trade deadline as well, picking up Quinnen Williams, which we'll talk about in a bit. I think that Dallas walks away now a few months later, and Jerry Jones looks a little bit sharper than he did at the time. A lot of people saying, what are you doing? Meanwhile, the Packers got their guy. Parsons may not be having an absolutely generational year in terms of the statistics, but off the stat sheet, this guy is drawing away double teams like none other. This guy is getting so much attention, it's allowing the rest of the defense to open up. Don't get me wrong, this Colts trade was still amazing, but I love what the Cowboys and Packers were able to do earlier this year. I think both GMs look absolutely genius right now.
I'm with you. I do favor the Parsons trade a little bit more, and I think I'm also with you. I think that Adonai Mitchell, while he wasn't like this star talent, is not the worst player in the league. Wasn't he like a second-round pick or something like that? Like he's a good wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 3, and Kenny Clark was a starting nose tackle, but Kenny Clark is also 30 years old.
Right.
So very, very comparable trades.
Very similar. Very closer than farther, honestly.
Yes. Yep. I do give the edge to the Parsons trade, though, because Parsons, in my opinion, is the best in the game. Maybe you could say Myles Garrett is really the only one competing for best in the game right now as a player. Sauce Gardner,
but
top
Myles
10.
Myles Garrett doesn't have the rest of the defense
Yeah.
to like really make up for, like the rest of the defense is still Parsons gets so much attention, and then the rest of the defense is good. And and I'm not saying the rest of the Browns defense is horrible, but like, you just target Myles Garrett, you're kind of taken care of. You kind of like figure out the defense. The Packers, you can't.
Every team that plays the Browns is just triple team Myles Garrett and figure everything else out. With this Packers defense, sure, double Micah Parsons, but there's other things that you still have to worry about. You've got Xavier McKinney, you've got Adrian Cooper, you've got other pieces here that make that trade work. And I think it's the same thing with the Colts too. Like, this Colts defense was a good defense. It's just leveled up, especially in the 1v1s. You now have someone who can go toe-to-toe with any wide receiver one in the league. And I know a lot of people say that Sauce Gardner has lost it a bit. He really hasn't.
No.
If you look at the statistics, he is the best cover corner in the league, bar none.
Sauce Gardner hasn't lost it by any means. Sauce Gardner's interception rate has gone down. Sauce Gardner doesn't put up as many stats in the INT column anymore.
Because they don't throw to him.
They don't throw his way. You can't get an interception if the ball doesn't come anywhere near you. Sauce Gardner is...
It's the same with Xavier McKinney.
Yes.
Xavier McKinney had 5 games in a row to start last season, and he has like 2 since then, because if you see Xavier McKinney on that side of the field, you say, I'm not throwing to that side of the field. If you see Sauce Gardner on your number 1 wide receiver, maybe you get like a slant that you got to throw perfectly.
Yeah. Guess
and
what?
You're not.
And the Colts have a core that's able to mesh there in that middle if there's a slant. Sauce Gardner for the Colts does the same thing that Parsons has done for the Packers. That's very bold of me to say before we've seen him play at all, but I can only assume it's going to be the same science. Everyone has to go double, triple team Micah Parsons, and the rest of the defense gets to, great, we can have a little bit of breathing room. We can actually compensate a little bit. The Colts are going to do the same thing. The ball's not going to go to the side of the field that Sauce Gardner's on. Wide receiver ones are going to get shut down in the second half of the season where the Colts play some formidable opponents in some, say the Seattle Seahawks. The Colts play the Seattle Seahawks. Jackson Smith-Njigba is now covered thanks to Sauce Gardner. And the rest of the defense is going to be able to implement and do their job in an appropriate way. We may be looking arguably at one of the best offensive and defensive teams in the league. The Colts do give up their future for the next few years, but if they can maintain and retain this core, we get Sauce for the next few years of his prime still.
Absolutely.
This is a good Colts team.
I absolutely agree. And just last point, that's another reason why both of these trades are so similar. You're getting a player in his prime. This is the best time to have these players. And they're at their best. They've gone through the rookie year, and they're biggest, strongest, fastest they'll ever be. And your team is at the perfect spot to where you can utilize that for going for a Super Bowl. So all right.
Love it.
You and I mean, that's the
we're
Colts.
Happy. Now, okay, I shouldn't say I jinxed us last week when I said we're the happy club podcast. All our teams lost.
All three, Lions, Packers, and Colts all lose after that.
We're content. We're content. I guess we can. I guess we can live with getting some star defensive players. That's fine.
Whatever. Sauce Gardner, I guess that's fine.
It's cool. Okay. Sweet.
Really quickly,
please.
Dallas trades for defensive tackle from the Jets. Jets are just selling all over the place. Quinnen Williams to the Jets, as well as Logan Wilson, the linebacker. Their run defense just got 10 times better with Quinnen Williams in the middle there, and their pass rush also leveled up. Quinnen Williams, arguably one of the best defensive tackles in the league, probably top 5, top 3 even, you can make an argument for. After everything is said and done, is this Dallas team better with Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson and the other pieces that they were able to sign with this Parsons money, or would it have been better to just sign Parsons, keep the picks, and go from there?
That's an excellent question. The picks, bringing the picks back into it, it kind of makes it a lot more even. if you know, of course, if we just forget about the picks, like any trade's going to be won by the team that receives the player. But let's move the picks aside and let's just say which defense is better. The Micah Parsons centered defense of the Dallas Cowboys or the defense that the Dallas Cowboys has now. And I'll tell you what, I think the defense the Dallas Cowboys has now is more balanced. You might not have as much star power. That's very easy to say. Again, I'm spinning before I even see these teams play. Dallas has had a really poor defensive year. They have not looked very good. Again, you mentioned Logan Wilson, linebacker from the Cincinnati Bengals, getting traded to Dallas for the selection choice, the 7th round pick in 2026. That one comes actually from the New York Giants to go back to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's defense continues to get worse. Dallas is doing what they can to strengthen their defense. I personally think they're trying to make a playoff run. I don't think they're trying to tank it all. Their defense is their weak spot. I like where the defense is at right now. I'm excited to see where it goes the next few weeks. I don't want to say I'm a Dallas fan, but I want Dallas to succeed because it looks like that. I mean, I'm not saying nobody else doesn't try, but like it looks like that Dallas is trying. I'll be honest with you. I think the 49ers needed to do a lot more at the trade deadline, and they didn't.
I'm with you.
There are teams out there that should have tried more. I'm not saying they're not trying at all or they're not trying to make a playoff push. This Dallas team seems like they wanted a little bit more than say, for example, the 49ers front office. So anyway, that being said, I like where the defense is at right now. I just have to say real quick, Quinnen Williams, love that addition. One of my favorite players, that pre-draft interview where he sneezes and he blesses himself. Have you seen that? He sneezes and he goes, "Achoo." He goes, "Bless you. Thank you." And then he moves on. He says it to himself. If you haven't seen that, whether you're listening or, for you, Joseph, you should go look that up. It's hilarious. That being said, this guy's a menace on the field. I think he's got, locker room. It's a bad word to use, but locker room aura. He's got it. He's got it with him. Big. I like what happened to Dallas at this trade deadline. That's where I'll leave it.
I completely agree with you. This team is absolutely more balanced than it would have been with Parsons.
Yep.
And you didn't give up everything that you had to get this guy either. You've still got plenty of first round picks to be able to make some things work and get your team younger still.
Yep.
And now you've got a generation. Well, I don't know. Is Quinnen Williams generational? That's for another day. You've got a very, very good.
You have an all-star
core.
You have an all-star defensive tackle
on defense, and your offense is absolutely playoff worthy, possibly Super Bowl caliber offense. The way it's being ran right now,
100%.
So all the props to the Cowboys for saying, you know what, we're not out of this. We can totally make this work. Okay, really last two quick ones. Jacobi Myers to Jacksonville. Huge for Jacksonville. They needed some wide receiver depth, especially with Travis Hunter going down. This is going to be huge for their team if Trevor Lawrence can make it work. Trevor Lawrence not playing very well right now. By every metric, he's not playing well. So maybe this helps by taking a little bit of heat away from Brian Thomas, who also hasn't been playing well. Lots of drops from him. Jacksonville drops the ball more than almost any team in the league right now.
Yeah.
Will Jacobi Myers help this team? Really quick, Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not saying that he's not going to help the team, but I'm hesitant to just jump in and say, yes, he's going to help this team. This is an awesome trade. It looks great on paper, and he totally should. He totally should help this team. But also, is it really the receiver's fault so far this year? Has it been? I would love to look at a stat that's like how many times has a receiver touched the ball this year and then dropped it for Jacksonville compared to like how many times has it just been an off-target throw from Lawrence. I think that, you do have to take into account route running. Jacobi Myers is an amazing route runner. He is going to be able to get more open to allow Lawrence to have those targeted passes. I'm hesitant to jump in and just say, oh, yep, the offense is fixed down in Jacksonville. Jacobi Myers is going to be... I personally, and I'm not just trying to make a hot take here, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I think I think Jacksonville doesn't give up that much for him, so I still think Jacksonville wins this trade. and that Las Vegas, was probably looking to, they were looking to trade him anyway. They pick up a couple of draft picks. This is one of those that I kind of like cringe, but I go, yeah, I guess that's a good trade. Everybody wins. They kind of get what they want. I don't think it's the problem solved for Jacksonville.
I can't agree with you more. They only gave up a 4th-round conditional and a 6th-round pick. It's not like they gave up the world to get this guy. Seattle gave up more to get Rashid Shaheed, and I think they play a similar role. I do think Rashid Shaheed plays it better. So,
do you? Okay, see, I would argue a little bit there. I think that Jacobi Myers has the edge on route running, and so, I think that Jacksonville wins this trade a little bit more. But
Jacobi Myers is a more complete wide receiver than Rashid Shaheed, but I think he will play the same role that Rashid Shaheed does in being more of a deep threat, more of a side guy that you can go to on deep balls or intermediate routes, and mostly just to open up the offense. So
I think this goes back to Trevor Lawrence, and this is the last thing I'll say, 10 seconds. It's on you, Trevor Lawrence. Like, the ball's back in your court. Front office did, and I'm not saying the front office went out and got, an A.J. Brown for you, but, they did their part. They're giving you more weapons. They're giving you more choices. They've given you a new head coach, Liam Cohen. Duval County is riding on you. I think we've kind of done enough for this guy. If he continues to kind of fall, I think the heat is going to switch a lot more from others back to Trevor Lawrence. So,
yep, absolutely agree with you on that. Lastly, Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks makes this passing attack even more dynamic.
Here we go. Colts play them later this year. We already got Sauce Gardner to cover Jackson Smith and Jigba, but now we got to deal with Rashid Shaheed
and Cooper Kupp. It's quite the wide receiver core that they've got there. This is a contender, man. This is and to give up a fourth and a 5th round pick to get another piece to your offense, a deep threat. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba is a deep threat in and of himself.
Yep.
But if you're running 2 verts, taking Shaheed and Jackson Smith and Jigba, you're going to have Rashid Shaheed on a one-on-one almost every time because the safety's always going to go after JSN. And if you've got 2 safeties up there, you've got Cooper Kupp underneath. They've got a good tight end room, and they've got a good running back room. This offense got really good, and I really like this trade for Seattle. Anything else you have on that, Matthew?
Yeah, John Schneider could sell ice to an Eskimo, man. He could sell melting popsicles to a woman with white gloves. This guy puts on these hypnotizing glasses, and he's like, give me your best guy for free. And other GMs go, yes, master. And, dude, I don't know how this guy does it. He is putting together an amazing roster in Seattle. The NFC East that's been led by the Rams and the 49ers for years is in for some heat. This guy is bringing it to Seattle. I like where the Seahawks are at as much as I don't really like the Seahawks. Got to put some respect on it. These guys could be a potential deep threat for the NFC side of the ball.
And they don't get talked about enough.
No. And I atone for that this week in my power rankings.
And you know what? Why don't we get right into that?
Why don't we just move over to power rankings?
I'm just going to open this right up here. What a great segue. Matthew, we compiled all of both yours and my power rankings. Here I've got the post-game win expectancies. So this is based off of multiple statistics. What should each team's record actually be?
Yep.
My power rankings are combined rankings, your power rankings, and the actual standings, what the records actually are if this was how the playoffs were to line up, even though this isn't how the playoffs line up because there's divisions and conferences and stuff. But theoretically, these are your best teams by record. So, really quick, we're going to go through 1 through 8. First, we've got, and then I'm just going to go through our combined rankings for the listeners, but if you're on the video, you can see all of these. Combined, we've got the Rams moving up 3 spots to our number 1 spot. That kind of is a little bit interesting because it doesn't feel like the Rams have really done that much recently, but we'll talk about that. Bills up 4-2. Colts dropped 2 spots after losing to the Steelers. I only dropped them 1 on mine, but we'll get to that as well. Seahawks coming up 4-4. Chiefs dropped down 2-5. Lions dropped down 4-6. And the Buccaneers and Eagles both were on bye. Both of them stay where they're at, which I think is
shocker.
Which was great. I think we did really good on our bye weeks this week, not moving anyone too crazy. Okay. 3 things on this first section that I have. First of all, I only dropped the Colts 1 because it took 6 turnovers and the Steelers beat them by 7 points. So I gotta say maybe that was one of the worst games ever, and Daniel Jones was back to his Giants Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes instead of Indiana. He's just getting it out.
No, he's just
get it out in one game.
He has to get it out of his system mid-season. He's just like, hey, whatever. And you know what? He felt bad that we have been crapping on this Steelers defense so hard, and everybody else has been doing the same thing. He's like, I'm just going to give the ball. It's an early Thanksgiving present for the Steelers defense.
6 times.
So he did it 6 times, yeah.
Like I said, they only lost by 7 points after 6 turnovers. I still think they're a great team that just had one of the worst games possible and still only lost by 7. So,
okay.
Next, you had the Rams and the Seahawks both climbing up 5 and 6 respectively. Last week, you had them; they were on bye, and they both dropped. The Rams dropped 4, what? Seahawks dropped 6. Now they're coming up 5 and 6.
I did that. Me?
I just gotta put it up there. We were talking about this before the show, but I do want you to explain your logic on that, because I do see what you saw last week and I see what you see this week. I just want the listeners to see what you're seeing.
First of all, I'm going to reiterate to the listeners what I told you before the show. In baseball, let's say that Joseph and I are both on first base, and the first base coach or the dugout the manager makes his signals, whatever he does. He's like, okay, I'm going to have you steal base. Joseph's like, he's barely getting off base. He's like 1 step, seeing if the pitcher's going to turn.
I might still have a foot on the base, bro.
The pitcher puts a shoulder up. Joseph's sliding back to base. Meanwhile, I'm rounding third. I'm stealing for home. This is how we are with our power rankings comparatively. Joseph is very cautious. It is directed towards the listeners that are listening. You're very cautious. You're very, somebody had a bye week. I don't really want to move them.
I don't move anyone.
Meanwhile, I'm like, hey, you know what? Somebody on bye week sneezed, and I didn't like it. They're going down 20 spots. They're right to the bottom of the ranking. That being said, I'm right back at it. Just to say what, kind of go off of what you were going with. Yes, the Seahawks, they moved back up. I think last week I blamed it on it's more about the teams that moved around them. Nah, you know what? For this week I just went, yeah, I think the Seahawks could now beat the Colts if they went head to head. Yeah, I do think that the Lions would still beat the Buccaneers, but they probably wouldn't beat the Eagles at this point to me. That's kind of where I'm at in this top tier. Did you ask another question? Did I miss something as I was telling my analogy, my allegory of the baseball?
Not really. I think that was pretty much it. Lions, we both had dropping. I mean, you had them drop 4. I had them drop 3.
I want to ask you. Can I ask you a question? I'm looking at your. Here's where we're kind of a little bit of a, Luckily, they kind of land right in the middle, which is good. I think this is why we do the comparison, and the combine in the middle looks really pretty. But when you pull back the curtain and you look at both of ours, I think a lot of people could go, "What the freak are these guys doing? What is up with you and the Eagles? Is it the post-game win expectancy? And I mean, we don't have to get to tier 2 yet. The Packers are still in tier 1 for you after their loss, but the Eagles are out. Tell me about your thought process there.
I think that's absolutely fair. I wanted to drop the Packers further,
Okay,
but
like
I couldn't
did.
I couldn't drop them below the Broncos. I couldn't drop them below the Patriots.
Why not? Broncos look good.
The
Why
Broncos
not? The Patriots
have
look good.
I think that this Packers team would beat the Broncos or the Patriots or the Eagles if they played tomorrow.
Sweet.
Because they have beat teams like the Lions earlier in the season, and they've played really good football. If it's
But
kind of
they've
going
lost
back
to the Browns and the Bengals.
and the Panthers and tied the Cowboys.
Panthers.
Yes, they play to the level of their opponent. This is two different teams. The Steelers game, I think, wraps up who this Packers team is. This Packers team in the first half of the Steelers game is who played the Panthers. The Packers in the second half of the Steelers game is what won them the Steelers game and is who beat the Lions. I think that the Packers would come to play against teams like the Broncos, Patriots, and Eagles. And you know what? Here's another thing. The Packers and Eagles play this week.
Yeah.
If the Eagles can beat the Packers this week, everything changes for me. Everything changes. But until the Eagles beat the Packers, I'm going to keep the Packers above. I don't want to punish them too much. Also, post-game win expectancy, they should have beat the Packers are 7-1 in post-game win expectancy.
The Packers should beat the Eagles based off of post-game win expectancy. I do have to say, though, I think it's going to be a fun week because, yes, I do argue with you here at this point. I think the Eagles have the ability to pull it off. The only thing that would tell me otherwise is the fact that the Packers have been really good at playing to the level of their opponents this year. When they play bad teams, they play horrible. When they play good teams, they play out of their mind. I think the Eagles are a good team. I think that could be the saving grace for the Packers this upcoming weekend. Also, coming off of a bye is always a good way to fire up a good team.
Yeah, Eagles coming off of a bye.
Eagles coming off of a bye for sure. What I meant to say was a team coming off of a loss is a good way to fire up a good team.
Absolutely.
Packers should be able to do that.
Yep. And you've got the Packers at 12. I honestly, when I saw that, I was like, down 6. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
That is absolutely fair.
Okay.
I don't have any quarrel with what you did there at all. I was
say I'm
close
so
to doing
sorry.
that myself.
Yeah. I overreacted. I mean, I dropped the Colts 4 on my own accord. Lions went down 4. Can we kind of go into tier 2? Speaking about how I dropped the Packers 6.
Yep.
I'm kind of looking at. I'll do that for the listeners if you don't mind if I take over.
Go ahead.
Looking at our combined rankings, the Broncos move up 1 spot to number 10. The Packers are now at number 10. They dropped 5 spots in our combined rankings. Patriots stay equalized at number 11 from last week. Steelers are up 2 after their win over the Colts. 49ers drop 1. Bears are up 2. They're at number 14. Chargers are down 2. They're at 15. And the Jaguars down 1. They are at 16. Let me ask, what's our thinking? This isn't just me to you. You brought the Chargers down 2. I brought them down 3. Chargers won. Why are we pulling them down like this? We didn't even know about the is it Joe Alt's back out again for the year now? He's
Joe
done.
Alt is out for the year, and that I did know about before I dropped them,
you?
and that is why I dropped them.
I think
They have looked terrible without their offensive line. I mean, Justin Herbert can only do so much when he's getting pressured every single play. I know they traded for a guard. That's not going to change that much with what this team does. In my opinion, even with a win, you're losing what feels like the linchpin in your team.
Sure.
And they played really close to a pretty poor team. So I dropped the Chargers 2 in mine. The Jaguars also dropped 1 after a win, but they won. They beat the they beat the Raiders by 1 point. and I'm just like, that's not okay. You need to be doing better than that if you're a tier 2 team. So I dropped them out of tier 2. I have them at 17 in tier 3. I'm not going to fault you for moving them up one spot after a win. So I think I love our combined rankings because I think everyone rankings. I think it all falls pretty much right where it should be.
It probably should be. Because
I'm
let's be honest.
This feels a little bit this feels a little bit extreme on my end, or this feels a little bit extreme on your end, and it just kind of balances everything out, puts everything where it should be. I like it.
I agree. I think that there is some, let's just be honest, there is some personal bias that goes into it. It wouldn't be journalism if there wasn't some sort of basic personal bias of a little bit. It wouldn't be sports journalism, I should say.
You know what? We could just get AI to tell us all of this stuff.
Yeah, and we could just, just pretend, but it wouldn't be fun that way, Luckily, no. I think the combined rankings stands there for your fans and for my podcast listeners to kind of see and be like, okay, these guys are at least sane enough so that I can be listening to them and I don't have to turn this off 5 seconds in because Matthew is dropping somebody 20 spots because of a sneeze on a bye week, which I wouldn't do, by the way. But I will drop the Cowboys 7, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Let's do it right now. Ravens jumping up 5 spots to 17. Panthers up 1 to 18. Vikings up 1 to 19. Commanders dropping 3 to 20. Texans dropping 3 to 21. Falcons up 1 to 22. Cardinals up 1 to 23. And the Cowboys dropping 3 spots to 24. And we'll just start with the Cowboys. You brought them up. I had the Cowboys at 24 last week.
Yep.
This is where they fall this week. How did they fall 3 spots? Well, you said it. Cowboys dropped 7 spots this week. What made you drop them 7 this week from the week prior?
Yeah, you know what? That game against the Cardinals, dude, I think that I was literally saying last week, maybe it was a different team. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. If you're a Cowboys fan, you got to be excited. Oh, yeah. I literally said this. If you're a Cowboys fan, go watch this game. It's at home. It's against a winnable team. If you were a Cowboys fan and you listen to me, I'm so sorry. I am apologizing from the bottom of my heart. That stunk to watch. And it stunk for me, who was thinking, this is a very winnable game for the Cowboys, primetime game. They're going to get some airtime. The offense looked more flat than I have seen all season. 17 points made this Cardinals defense look elite. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, who have been putting themselves in holes all season offensively, come out and Jacobi Brissett looking like the guy for the Arizona Cardinals, getting it done. Because of that, I had to drop. I mean, this is the biggest drop or increase on my list. I have a couple of 6s, but this is 7 down for the Cowboys. I had them up at the top of my 3rd tier last week. They are borderline 4th tier now, just based off of their performance. Meanwhile, I give the Cardinals a good 5 position bump on my side, because I'm seeing for the first time this season how the Cardinals are set up to be roster-wise, and they're dealing with all the injuries that they're dealing with. Huge win for the Cardinals. Might be their best the rest of the year.
It is interesting doing the combined rankings because you've got the Cardinals at 21. I've got the Cardinals at 22. But because of how we've got everything else set up, our combined rank has the Cardinals at 23.
Yeah.
You jumped them up 5. I jumped them up 1. They just jump up 1 spot. But I think I'm fine with where they're at. I'm fine with them being below teams like the Texans and Falcons and Vikings. I like where they're at right now. So anything else on Tier 3 here, or should we just finish up Tier 4?
Let me look real quick. I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't have anything. Commanders continue to disappoint. Jaden Daniels' deal is really disappointing. They dropped for me and for both of us 3-point positions. They'll continue to disappoint the rest of the year. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to make a run at the NFC East, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. Texans down 3, stinks for football, but good for me as a Colts fan.
Go Colts.
And the Ravens up 5. Do have to mention, I mean, now that Lamar's back, The Ravens are going to continue. I mean, if the Ravens continue to win under Lamar Jackson, there's no reason that these guys should not continue to skyrocket over other teams throughout our power rankings. It's kind of like the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not be shocked if these guys end up in the top 12 above other teams like the Bears, 49ers, Steelers, or maybe even climb up into Tier 1 if we start seeing the old Lamar Jackson Ravens.
Right, exactly. And I mean that's what we're waiting on. We'll just kind of see how Lamar comes out of this injury. Meanwhile, that's it for Tier 3 for me.
Sweet. Let's go to Tier 4. Giants up 1-25. Bengals up 1-26. Even off of their both of those teams lost, they both go up 1. Dolphins down 2. Browns stay where they're at. They were on a bye. Raiders up 1 off of their 1-point loss. Saints down 1-30. Jets stay where they're at 31. And Titans stay where they're at 32. You and I had the same bottom 8 teams, just a little bit differently organized.
Yeah.
Bengals with a heartbreaking win. I don't think Joe Burrow would have done anything different, and I think that game would have ended exactly the same, even with Joe Burrow in rather than Joe Flacco. Kind of sucks if you're a Bengals fan that this is where you're at as a team.
Bengals defense, man. It's the defense. I mean, we had a few really bad weeks with Browning where the Bengals were really low for me, and you know what? Flacco's given them a little bit of offensive hope, but this and you're trading away guys at the deadline. Like, are you bailing on your team? If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm hearing the things about the locker room stinks and the whatever else. Like, the defense doesn't look very good. I'm the opposite of what I am as a Colts fan right now about the future, about being optimistic. I'm very pessimistic if I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan.
If the Bengals and Cowboys played this week, I think the final score would be 64-58.
Yeah, I think we might have our first ever combined 200+ point game in NFL history. It would be so bad.
Over under
185.5.
Not too much more to say on this in this section. Couple injury notes, I guess, really quick to wrap up. Cardinals, like you said, played Jacoby Brissett. Kyler Murray is going on IR, so it'll be Jacoby Brissett for the next little bit. Jane Daniels, obviously, if you saw the injury, looked really bad. Had to be put in an air cast. As far as I know, he's on IR, and he's not going to be back for a while.
Yeah.
And I think the other really big one was Tucker Kraft, ACL injury for the Packers. He's going to be out for the year. That just is a huge blow to that offense. Tucker Kraft had more yards after the catch than every other player on the team combined. So that's a massive blow to this team, and he was their best blocker. So, but I think the Packers will figure it out. So we'll see from there. Last thing with this here, I wanted to go over, first of all, Broncos and Patriots are both are the Patriots are second and Broncos are third in the standings, and the Broncos and Patriots are back-to-back 5th and 6th in post-game win expectancy rankings. And you and I have them at 9 and 10, both of us. 9 and 10, 9 and 10. What do you think is stopping us from moving these teams up with them performing so well?
What is stopping us from moving up, like the Packers and
the Broncos and Patriots?
Oh yeah, great.
The Broncos
question.
and Patriots are both crazy good teams with the best records and best post-game win expectancy, and you and I both have them exactly the same, 9 and 10.
You could probably answer this the same way that I'm going to answer this. There is a feeling, and this is more with the Patriots than with the Broncos, and you might actually disagree. I don't know. I have this feeling of fraud from the Patriots. They had a good win against Buffalo in primetime on Sunday Night Football here a few weeks ago in early October. Next to that, though, I don't know, man. Drake May has the stats. There is a feeling of – I actually saw this poll on ESPN's Instagram, and it was like pretender or contender. And it just listed off like Indianapolis Colts, Seattle Seahawks, all these teams that are kind of like, oh, are these guys actually good, or are they like, Is it going to last? And the Patriots were one of the only teams that was like heavy vote pretender. So I don't know if that's just Patriots hate from 20 years of dynasty. That might just be a bunch of NFL fans getting their frustration out on Instagram. That being said, I kind of agree. For some reason, there's this gut feeling. I mean, I kind of felt that way about the Eagles earlier this year, and now the Eagles are number 3 on my power rankings. I'm just hesitant to move them up just yet. Those are teams that I'm, as of right now, like they're in an early stage of development. Like the Broncos, the Patriots, I feel like they've put the pieces together and they're showing that they can do it. But still, can they beat somebody like the Lions and the Chiefs that I've seen consistency from for the last few years? I think that's what it comes down to. Can't grade someone on consistency when they're at the beginning of the consistency scale. Now, I'm going to outgrade them on other guys who, even though they're performing a little bit less this year, have been more consistent, for the last few games, for the last season or two. No, I don't do that. And that's the only reason why I throw the Lions and the Chiefs up there above them. That would kind of just be bias. But again, Patriots, Broncos, just waiting to see a few more weeks of how they're coming together, if this is legit. I do have to say, I mean, I guess I shouldn't trash the Broncos. Broncos are one leverage penalty away that they should have gotten as a Colts fan from being 8-1, being the best in the league right now. Yet we still have them combined down at number 9. So.
They're one leverage penalty away from leading the conference with the 1 seed. That's that close. But like I said, both of us have them at the exact same spots at 9 and 10. So I'm confident in where we've got them.
Yep.
Lastly, our combined rankings. I think this is the farthest that our combined rankings have been from post-game win expectancy so far.
So do we know football? Either we're on to something or we are dumb.
I mean, the post-game win expectancy has the Lions out of the first tier, the Bucs out of the first tier, the Cardinals at 12.
Eagles are so far down there, I don't even think they're on the list anymore for post-game win expectancy.
The Eagles did come up. The Eagles got a win in post-game win expectancy, so they actually come out of tier 4.
They're sitting pretty with the Raiders, the Falcons, the Texans, the Panthers.
Yeah. So maybe this is a sign that you and I are starting to see who these teams actually are. Mm-hmm. And some of these earlier season wins and losses we're taking less into consideration. This is the whole season we're looking at with post-game win expectancy. Our rankings here, this is where the teams are now, and I think that's kind of where we see the difference.
I agree.
Okay. Lastly, I'm going to close this, and we're just going to talk really quick because we're going on. Let's see if we can keep it under an hour.
We'll do it. We'll be just fine.
Thursday night football. Talking about these Broncos. They are hosting the Raiders. Broncos are 7-2. They are number 9 in our power rankings. Hosting the Raiders in Mile High. The number 30 ranked Raiders coming in at 2-6. The Broncos are 9.5-point favorites as of yesterday. The over/under for this game is 42.5. My question: this is a Thursday night football division game, and the Thursday night football division games have been weird all year. All year they've been wacky.
Right.
Could the Raiders pull off the upset? And why is Max Crosby and Brock Bowers the reason that the Raiders pull it off?
Could the Raiders pull off the upset? And why is Max Crosby and Brock Bowers? Oh, because they're Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. Now, why will they not pull off the upset? Because of a guy by the name of Geno Smith, who is either tied or is second place in the league for interceptions with another guy by the name of Tua Tagovailoa right now. I'll tell you what, Geno Smith not looking very good. I don't know why the Raiders aren't hitting the QB panic button yet. I mean, literally the Saints have done it already. They're switching out Rattler for Shock. If Bowers has an absolute game, if Crosby has an absolute game, I still don't think it's enough to defeat this Broncos team right now. Again, I know the Broncos are a little bit low. I could be eating crow here in a few, in the next 24, 48 hours. I think the Broncos have this under control. They're chilling. I even like the over in this game. I expect the Broncos offense to show up. I think Patrick Surtain is going to play a very big role against a very poor Geno Smith. And I think the Broncos take care of business easily in this one. Before I give you a score prediction, do you have another question?
That's pretty much it. I'll give you mine. I'm taking the under, but I'm also taking the Broncos to cover. I'm taking Broncos 24, Raiders 13, taking them to cover 1.5, and I'm taking the under on that just because it's a weird Thursday night division game. Otherwise, I'd probably go higher.
Love it. 28-18 is my final prediction. The Broncos, and I mean that's kind of a very bland prediction. I think that's just like 4 touchdowns for the Broncos. Maybe, you know what? Maybe give me like 31-21 because I'm going to take the over anyway. But like what I want to see out of this is the Broncos are going to cover and the over is going to hit. So however you want to score that, 34-24, 34-20, 31-15, 31-20. Yeah, you know what? I like 31-20. Give me 31-20. That sounds like a good.
That feels solid.
That feels solid. It's a little bit of a mix of touchdowns and field goals. 31-20 is my. I had it written down somewhere. I couldn't find it. It was a different score than that. But going off, reevaluating this like we do as sports journalists, 31-20. Give me the over and the cover for the Denver Broncos. They're going to take care of business. This is at Denver, Mile High. Okay, yeah, just fine. 31-20.
Yep, I'm with you. You and I both have an 11-point win. Matthew, thank you so much, as always, for joining NFL Talking Points. I look forward to this power ranking show every single week. It's like my favorite thing I get to do.
So fun.
And it's because I get to talk with you. Matthew, where can our wonderful listeners find your stuff?
Just go type in MASS or just look up Matthew Arscott, Arscott. AR then spell Scott. That's the Matthew Arscott Sports Show. Anywhere you get your podcasts. We're going to, you know what? I met this guy this last weekend in Vegas. I was watching college basketball down there for the tip-off, the TNT tip-off or whatever they did. The guy's like, oh, what's your YouTube? Didn't have a YouTube for him, so we're going to follow suit from Joseph. We'll try and get a YouTube up here soon. But for now, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, wherever you get them, Matthew Arscott Sports Show. Got tons of stuff in the pipe coming your way. Lots happening in sports right now.
Thank you. Check him out, Matthew Arscott Sports Show. Matthew Arscott, thank you for joining NFL Talking Points, and thank you, listeners, watchers, viewers, everyone who has tuned in. I appreciate the heck out of you guys, and until next time, heed the call.